Here we got a antique trailer. It's actually older than what the Kenworth is. This one was made in October 1981. I don't know if you can actually make that out. And I'm seeing how part of the sticker's gone. Anyways, what we're going to be doing on this trailer, as you can see, we got a red glad hand. There's no red left on it, but on the outside closest to the driver's side is normally red, unless for some reason somebody swapped them around. You see how this is made, or not made, but screwed into this Y? Well, the blue one actually broke off. We're not even going to try and get a new Y and do all this again. What we're actually going to do here is we're going to take all this off. I've already loosened it up, as you might be able to tell. So it'll come right off. And we're going to take all this off. Like so. I'm not going to worry about this bracket. This is a storage trailer, and the customer, all he worried about is getting the brakes working, because sometimes these storage trailers go someplace where your jockey will be moving them, plus getting them from point A to point B, like from his yard to the new customer. You really want brakes. Granted, he don't haul no freight. We don't have to worry about the trailer being loaded any particular time that he's going to be having the trailer moved. He doesn't move them himself. Sometimes I move them, sometimes somebody else moves them. But what we're going to do, we're going to go to the local truck parts store and get a hose that'll come from this fitting that I just took out of here, or get another fitting, however that winds up being. We're going to run a hose up to here, and this is what is called a surface mount glad hand. And as you can see, it has the blue on it. And we're just going to go ahead and mount it right about here, so you can hook up the glad hands, the blue glad hands, so you actually have brakes when you step on the brake pedal. That is one thing we're going to be doing to this trailer. And as you can tell, this ain't going to be all that difficult to do once I get all the parts. Something else, another problem. Now that's the service side, which applies brakes when you step on the brake pedal or pull what a lot of people call a trolley valve or a trailer brake handle, either on the dash or steering column. They mount them in a couple different places. A lot of them are on the steering column, but I've seen Freightliners where they're actually on the dash, and that's if a trailer actually has them. Oh, this is a Feihoff, by the way. Right there it is. Like I said, this is a storage trailer, and this customer actually has his trailers sitting at customers normally for years. Matter of fact, where I picked this one up, I think he said it had been sitting there for over 5 years. His trailers don't move very often. I've got all the parts here now, and as you can see, I got this fitting screwed down into this pipe. And I got this glad hand that I'm going to mount up here, like so. Cut the air line so it's the right length, and it'll go into there. So I got a little trimming to do here on the airline, as you can see. Now what I do, and some people will say, oh, you're doing too much work. What I do is I go ahead and I drill holes so this glad hand can actually mount up here, like so. And some people will just put self-tapping screws in. I mean, for an emergency, as a very temporary situation, like you're out in the middle of nowhere and dark or in the rain or something, you want to get a glad hand on there just to get you by for a week or so, that's fine. The thing is, once you start taking those self-tapping screws in and out to change the glad hand, because they do get broke off, just like this one has gotten broke off, then that hole starts getting wallowed out, and you go to a bigger self-tapping screw, bigger. Well, to prevent that, do a little bit extra work at the very beginning. Drill a hole and put this in. It's called a nut insert. And what you do is you drill the hole big enough, and then there's a tool that you put in this, and you start pulling on this nut insert. And what it does is it crushes right here where the serrated edges are. When you go ahead and get that all crushed in, then it expands and it doesn't turn, and then you can go ahead and take a regular bolt in and out without stressing the metal any. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to go ahead and put this glad hand up where I want it, so the holes are where I need to be, drill the holes, and then use the special tool to go ahead and put these nut inserts in so I can mount the glad hand. And then it's just simple as cutting the air line to the right length and tightening down on the compression fittings. This will be done on this particular piece. There are two things critical with doing it this way. You need to make sure that the holes line up, and that's why I went ahead and drilled in the size of the bolts first and make sure that they pretty much line up. The second thing is you don't want to go too big for these inserts. As you can see, I haven't gone big enough yet, because if you go too big, this lip will either fall through, or when you start crushing it, it will not crush enough to grab a hold of. So you want to go just big enough where this starts in there. If you have to part of the way straight and it don't want to go, you can go ahead and tap a little bit until the flange is against the metal. But you want to be able to get it started without it just falling through. As you can see here, it starts, but it doesn't quite go all the way in. As you can see, it's sitting there, it's not falling out. So I'm just going to take a hammer here and gently tap it in there. As you can see, it's nice and flush now. I didn't smash it. It's not all smashed down. So what I'll do is I'm going to drill the other hole, but I'm just going to stick this in there, just keep the threads clean while I'm drilling the other hole, so nothing can get in there, so I don't have a problem getting the nut in. It's not crushed in there, so right now it would come back out. If you put something on the bolt and pulled, it'd come back out because it's not crushed. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole up here so it can go ahead and accept the other one, and then I'll crush both in place. Okay, the next step here is to go ahead and select the proper tool, proper bit. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with me doing the tedious things like putting the glad hand up here and putting the bolts in, but the holes line up, bolts go in with the lock washers. So I'm just going to mount this, bring this line up, connect it to the fittings, just tighten everything up. And next time that somebody has to replace one of these, they can actually unbolt it and bolt the new one up and keep reusing the same bolts and lock washers. And that's the proper way, in my opinion, how to do it. Okay, here's the end result. And as you can see, it's not touching, and that's what's required, is that there's a gap there. It's all hooked up, ready to use. And it's definitely secure. It's not going to go anywhere. You know, I appreciate you watching this video, and please come back, and everybody have a better day.